Ma'am,
Yes.
do you mind taking over? Or I'm kind of in a little pickle right now.
Okay.
And I can do double overtime next time.
Okay. I wasn't really prepared to do anything, but I don't mind doing it. Let me just get
I apologize in advance and I
no, it
apologize
has
greatly.
it has no need to apologize. It has nothing to do with anything. I just wasn't gonna, you know, review
Yes,
tonight.
I that's why I apologize.
Why? Because we wasn't gonna review. That's nothing
No,
personal.
I'm in a little pickle right now.
Yeah, I know that, but that has nothing to do with anything. I just wasn't planning on reviewing tonight. That's all.
You were not planning on reviewing?
No, I was just gonna take it easy.
Oh, okay, then if you want, we can just KAT.
No, we're already on. You were calling me. That was you calling me, right?
Yeah, just to see if we were gonna meet or not.
Yeah. Uh, I'll do something quick. We'll just do overview stuff. So, Disney came up. It had earnings today, and uh, earnings supposedly. Uh, let's see, where are we at? So it made it on earnings, but on revenue it was slightly under, which I don't think is bad. But I don't know where it got this extra money from. Um, 17 over 17%, but it did very well. And so I think because of that, we may have a nice day tomorrow. I'm hoping that we can still keep going. I had it out at 90. It got to a little past 88. Uh, Basically almost at 89. I thought it was gonna get. And yeah, I'm hoping that it continues in the dia because we're ready for this to start making some moves. Um, so that was 3.2% for Disney, and obviously most of that was in the aftermarket because it didn't move at all. Open, open, almost 3%. Um, Maybe this is the time it can come up and people can short the top. Um, American Airlines, I know you traded this. Uh, it's over 12. That's all I can say is that it's over 12. And hopefully it will continue. Um, Microsoft, uh, not much to write home about, under 1%. Google, Home Depot, Apple, these all under 1%. Boeing, all of these, but at least they're not negative. Meta, same thing. Um, Negative Hood was terrible today. We don't really trade that, but Hood has gone um by way of the terrible companies. Macy's got underneath $12 again, but we're both out of that, so nothing to write home about. Um, Moderna, we don't trade it. Um, Peloton, it was bad today. That's what we expected it to do based off of yesterday and the day before news. Um, Lyft, Airbnb, Intel, EBC, all of these just went down today. Everything just went down today. Uh, Target, Dollar Tree, all down. If you're looking to have gone long on some of these, like Dollar Tree, I know we had that long play for Christmas. Maybe this is the time to get in if you like any of these retail tickers. Bank of America, it was 1% negative, and oil is continuing to be negative. We had a gap down here. We basically maintained here on this day, went up a little bit, and then we slid today. So we're having issues with oil. Walmart was negative. Amazon, and then Rivian. I really had trouble with it. I could have got out several times, but I didn't because I expected to come up more and hoping that it will tomorrow. Here we see our winners and losers. Nothing really here. Good RX was a winner today. Fiverr was a winner, but Fiverr's been doing terrible, so that really doesn't mean anything. Roblox did well today. So if you like Roblox, it's probably a good time. Oh, it's something coming up steadily, Roblox. So maybe you can make some money out of this thing. You know, if we could get up to this $45, $50 level here, back up here. Roblox was leading the way, and then Rivian was negative. Not sure why. Had very good earnings, but it's still hard to get out. We're trying to get it above 20. PLTR was negative. So yeah, Dash, all of these things were negative. So we're really not gonna do too much. We're not gonna go into particulars. Overall, it was a weird day, I'd say. I want to make this dot the bottom to bottom. I don't want to dot this to the bottom. So it was a weird day. Let's there was a video that I had saved that I wanted to watch, and let's see if I have it here. Playlist. Okay, this is an interesting one that I wanted to and I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share again so that I can show it to you guys. I found it interesting.
You've earned this, so hold it up high.
We turn now to the battle of the beers. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Modelo has overtaken Bud Light as America's top beer.
You may think Modelo dethroned Bud Light after this.
And Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
Led to this.
The Bud Light boycott.
Well, that's partly true, but it's not the whole story. It's also thanks to this guy.
I had the privilege of being President Obama's antitrust chief.
He filed a lawsuit that changed everything for the brand, putting the imported Mexican beer on the path to take down the king of beers, Bud Light. This is the economics of Modelo.
It's a world that changes all the time, but what's important never changes.
But change came in 2012, when Anheuser-Busch InBev looked to merge with Grupo Modelo, the brewer of Modelo Especial and Corona.
I started at the Justice Department in early January of 2013, and the biggest first matter before me was an investigation the staff had into the effort by AB InBev to acquire the worldwide rights to Modelo.
That year, AB InBev, maker of Bud Light, along with Miller Coors, made up about 65% of the U.S. beer market.
What our investigation found was that every year, InBev, ABI, and Miller Coors would raise prices. Modelo kept their prices stable and began to grow market share. They were competing on the merits and they were winning, and it appears that AB InBev didn't like that idea at all.
So the government's antitrust lawyers advised the world's biggest beer maker it'd have to sell the U.S. rights to Modelo Especial before buying the company.
We said you need InBev to completely divest any interest in Modelo as it relates to the United States. They thought I was crazy. And I said, well, I may be crazy, but if you don't agree to that, we're going to sue. And they hemmed and hawed, and so I sued them.
After that, AB InBev agreed to sell the U.S. rights to Modelo Especial to Constellation, a third beverage company that mostly sold wine and spirits, but also imported Modelo Especial to the U.S.
We knew with them as an independent owner of Modelo, they'd have every incentive to grow the brand, maintain the quality, introduce new brands, incentives that InBev just would not have had at all.
Modelo and its new parent company had a long way to go to dethrone Bud Light. So Constellation began looking at its marketing.
It starts with creating that universal broad appeal across all types of consumers, and then expanding our investment and moving into English language and telling that story to more people.
They launched a new campaign running ads like this
Modelo, the mark of a fighter.
during live, multicultural sporting events to reach new audiences.
The fight clock is brought to you by Modelo.
Sales ticked upwards as more people drank Modelo. And that data was presented to retailers using a Constellation program called Shopper First Shelf.
We do a lot of research behind the scenes. We lay out the optimal flow of the beer aisle that will maximize retail sales for the retailer, which then also helps our distributor partners and helps grow the overall beer category.
They said stores could increase sales by arranging Modelo in a vertical line, with Corona to the left.
What's interesting is Modelo, despite as big a brand as it is, the brand awareness of Modelo is actually much, much lower than of Corona Extra.
The idea was that consumers would see Corona first and then intuitively look to the right and find Modelo. They also recommended that Modelo be shelved in the refrigerators, since most imported beer is purchased to be consumed within 6 hours, so shoppers needed it cold. Inside the refrigerators, Constellation recommended it be placed at eye level and near the door handle to maximize visibility. They found beers that moved from hinge to handle position increased sales by 8%.
Modelo Especial has enjoyed really high velocities for a long time. When we have really high velocities, what's important is that we get enough space on the shelf so that we have enough inventory so the shelf isn't empty.
Constellation pushed retailers for more shelf space for Modelo because it was selling so quickly. Sales rose. By the end of the 2021 calendar year, Modelo Especial had passed AB InBev's Michelob Ultra to land the number 2 spot by retail store dollar sales. That jump was partially fueled by a push to shift Modelo's consumer base.
In the 2019 fiscal year, Modelo's consumers were about 70% Hispanic.
And that population has been growing, helping to drive sales.
But Constellation was really pushing to give the brand a mass market appeal.
It worked. Now, about 45% of Modelo's consumer base is non-Hispanic. Both have driven more market share. With all of that growth, analysts projected that Bud Light was on track to lose its top spot to Modelo as early as 2024. But they probably didn't anticipate Bud Light sales falling as dramatically as they did. Anheuser-Busch says Bud Light's U.S. market share has stabilized and that it will win back drinkers by staying away from controversial topics. Since the boycott, the company has worked on new Bud Light ads like this, emphasizing ties to football and country music. AB InBev also said, let's not forget millions of people still choose Bud Light each day, and year to date, Bud Light remains #1 in volume sales.
Modelo's rise is really the result of changing demographics, changing consumer tastes, and savvy marketing on the part of Constellation. And then to sort of top it all off, this Bud Light boycott blew it out of the water.
We expected we would be in this position maybe a year or two from now, so it did happen a little bit earlier than expected. But it's a great place to be, but what we're focused on now is how do we maintain this position going forward.
Now Modelo is on track to have greater dollar sales for the full year of 2023. So it looks to be solidifying its place as the top beer in America.
To give the American consumer choice is what competitive markets is all about. And it's up to Constellation to keep going. They clearly have the momentum and the consumer demand on their side.
So, you think in your mind, oh, it's just beer, but I had always wondered how, like, why do they talk about Modelo so much? I remember when we could get a Modelo for like, it was either 4 for $1 or 2 for $1 on happy hour days in Foxborough. And it was just like a cheap beer that you could get a couple of cans. And it was just really cheap and kind of like, okay, well, it's for happy hour, you know? And so now they've become this whole like national brand where like everyone's drinking Modelo. And yes, Budweiser has gotten more expensive. But I've never drank Budweiser anyway because I thought it was crap. And if I wanted to drink a Budweiser product, I used to drink Heineken, and then when Heineken started giving me headaches, then I started drinking Stellatos. So I'm not against drinking Modelo beer, but I still in my mind I just see it as a cheap beer that they kind of like brought up with advertisement. And you know, if I were gonna drink that, I would just drink like a Coors or something like that. But I wouldn't drink really either one of them. I would just drink a Stella. So, but that's it.
Okay, good comments. I have
Yeah.
no comment regarding beer.
Yeah. It just shows how the market of beer is such a big market and how it has over the years it has changed dramatically. And I don't feel like a lot of people have realized how much it has changed for
Yeah.
Modelo to be the leading beer. This
Yeah,
formerly
and they
Mexican.
were specifically targeting areas where there's a lot of high like volume of people who view these things like where they were fighting and just a lot
Yeah,
of strategic things that make it visible to the eye and kind of catch your attention like, oh, let me just try this. And
yeah,
because sometimes it's cheaper, they're just gonna try it anyway.
yeah. It was literally just a very cheap, like
It's
happy hour
strategic.
beer.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of like that. It's people are always going to be looking at their pockets, especially with inflation,
Uh-huh.
so they're going to be like, dang, I still want to have my little beers. Uh, Instead of just having 2 of these, I'm going to have 10 of these,
Yeah,
so it's also like that, it always comes down to economics at the end of the day.
yeah. Modelo has come a long way though. It really has. Like
Yeah.
the thing that gets me is because I remember when it was like 50 cents or whatever. So I can't pay like regular price or whatever it is now for it because now it's like a regular price beer. But
Uh-huh.
because it was so cheap before, I can't like make myself like pay the regular price just because now they're advertising. So I can't get it because I just remember drinking it like, oh, when you want a cheap beer, it's a good beer for a cheap beer. And now it's just kind of like it's on the par as a Budweiser, which I never liked anyway. I thought Budweiser tasted like piss water. But you know,
That's funny.
if I
Yep.
had to pick a Budweiser or Modelo, I guess I'd pick a Modelo, but I wouldn't want to pay the same price because I thought of it as a very cheap beer.
Mm-hmm.
And but I wouldn't drink either one of them. Like I would drink a Modelo for $1 a can or something like that.
Yeah, makes total
But
sense.
you know,
But that's one of the reasons that it started to attract people. They got the taste buds for it and like, let me just start getting this. And they got them like wired now to like look for
yeah,
Modelo.
via advertisement, people are thinking like Modelo Especial, like thinking it's like it's a high class like a fighter, and I'm like, Modelo was like the freaking people consider this the garbage beer, like
The
like
yard sale.
yeah, like it's just the bottom of the barrel, like okay, you need to get like kind of like almost like a natty daddy type thing. You need to
Mm-hmm.
get drunk and you don't got but $2. Let me get a case of Modelo, you know. So for it now to just be such like it's kind of like the fighter, the spirit of a fighter. It's just they've done good with the advertisement on it.
The marketing team sure to strategically place the beer where it would grab attention, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
and then
that tells you the power of marketing and the power of just being consistently on top of things and not giving up because, sooner or later, people are gonna be like, it's human nature too. Like what they think is caca now, they think it's like the best thing since slice of bread because now it's like the thing, like the hippie thing to do or whatever. They got so
yeah,
many people behind it.
and then Bud
But yeah,
Light, Budweiser, they messed up by from becoming. They were like kind of like the cheap American beer, not as cheap as Modelo, but it was kind of like you could buy a whole case for a reasonable amount, and they decided to keep raising their prices because they wanted to get in that whole like craft beer type thing and stuff like that or whatever. But here's the thing, the craft beers were just more expensive because they were selling less, you know? So they didn't have the quantity. So they would talk about, oh, quality and all of this kind of stuff. And yes, you did get better quality beers with them, but it's just they were selling a lot less. So people who wanted more quality, yeah, they would go for Stella, Heineken, or Corona, or whatever. But a lot of people they just want to get drunk, so they would go for Bud. And then when you start increasing the price of Bud, um, and then um, you do this whole freaking that um whatever they did, the drag queen thing or whatever, that pissed people off. It's like that. I'll go to Modelo, you know. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
so yeah, it's but yeah, I didn't realize that the numbers were that. I knew Modelo was growing just by the fact that the way they were advertising like crazy and like doing this whole like thing about a fighter and all this. I'm like, man, they must be making sales or whatever. But I didn't realize, like he said, about how 45% of their customers are not Hispanic or whatever. Because I just looked at it as a cheap Spanish beer, Hispanic beer or whatever. But yeah, with advertising, you can make anything work.
You got to get into the people's mind.
Yeah.
Oh, this $600 shoe, even though it will kill you, and break your knees.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful. It's, you know, it's
just
Dior or Chanel, but
yeah,
because it says Chanel and Dior, you must wear it because even though
just
you
for
can't
it.
really walk on it, it's pop. And you know, you should definitely get that Gucci or Louis Vuitton purse, even though it costs $1,000 and you can use it for something else. But yeah, you must get it because ooh, it's a Louis Vuitton, you know?
So I just want to show that because the history is so funny how like that if they had been allowed to purchase Modelo, they basically would have uh made it kept it as a Hispanic beer or just made it go under. And this is when the government does what it's supposed to do and not allow monopolies to develop. And this was actually a good thing. I wish our government did this more often for certain things, for what it's supposed to do. Maybe we wouldn't have Google the way it is. But hey. So that's that. I'm hoping for obviously Rivian to come up and uh hopefully Disney will keep things going, keep going. And yeah. Uh you know, so that's the plan.
So
And
buena suerte tomorrow.
to have
I got some out already of Disney because I was already green
yes, you had a better
and
price.
I had like some, you know, shares. I was like, you know, I'm KAT. I did leave 25 left or whatever, but I want to try to get out of Carvana. So that's why I was like, let me get out of that Biznatch and focus on Vana then. And basically it wasn't a bad day overall for me because I wasn't really that much trading, but whatever I had bought yesterday was fruitful, and
Mhm.
that's basically it.
Yeah, we both had good days today, which is good. And yeah,
Oh, how can you look at Roku? I was doing something. Did you go over Roku?
no, I didn't. But Roku, it did well because I had it obviously. Um, and I got out like here. It went a little bit further down, but I still got out at a good price before it started to come back up. But I was looking at it, VWAP kept going down, and I was hoping it would get to 80. This is where it got to. My price that I should have got out should have been like more like 81 even, like right about here. But you know what it does when you kind of, I was thinking about going back in, but I didn't. I just kept forgetting. But anyway, it started to slide back up. I still like this for tomorrow.
I'm gonna put it on the notes.
Yes, put on the notes. 83.10 for possibly another short or just getting it while it's up here and maybe it comes back down just because if you look at it overall, it's just, you know, up the yin yang and it should slide back down some. This is just all of this is the last few days. So
Plus, if you notice, it's gonna go down. I bet you it's probably gonna even get to 75. Notice the volume.
mhm,
If you notice the volume is starting to average in at about what it usually does as compared to
mhm,
this craziness, which was 46 million. So that tells you right away that you are looking at it correctly because it's going to eventually even drop a little bit more from this, and it's probably going to level set at 75.
exactamente.
So yeah,
So
I'll put it on the notes and good job.
yes. All right. Peace out. Hint that's finished with Terrea.
Yes, I will disclose more information about our outing tomorrow. I really like the school, but I'll give you more detalles tomorrow.
Okay, so things went well.
Yes, but I have my doubts. We'll see.
All right, we'll talk mañana. Peace out, amiga.
Sí, señora, buena suerte mañana y que duermas bien.
Tú también. Todos.
Bye. Bye. Gracias.